I couldn't think of what to do it on. Like, I was thinking, oh, I could make a video game. So my sister came up to me and was like, hey, why don't you teach sign language on it? So I decided, let's make an app to teach sign language. Yeah, come on, hit next. I actually really like this quote. One of the big reasons I decided to do an app is because my heart told me do something you know and are comfortable with. So that's why I chose to do an application. Okay, next. My mentor is James Spencer. He is an app developer for a living, and so he was an amazing help with my entire project. He set up things I should do to get prepared for it, and he helped me through trials and everything that I came across when actually creating the app. So I'm thankful for him. Next. Other resources, my family for inspiration and encouragement. I use W3 Schools for references. It's an amazing website when you want to learn HTML, CSS, and other programming languages. Apantha Studio is what I use to completely make the app, like make it all come together and everything. The Pocket Dictionary of Signing was my reference for the sign languages and creating the lessons. And CodePen is what I used for step-by-step creating each part of the app. Right now. So when creating the app, we sat down for 2 hours and wrote out a plan of action of what we're going to do. And we decided, well, what should we work on first? The main menu. So we went through each little step of what I should do for my app, and little by little, I ended up being able to complete almost all of it. Next. So when my learning goals was to learn a new type of way of coding, and so he had me do a lot of learning. So I went to W3 Schools and he had me do basic HTML, which is for web design, coding for web design, and I had to do some CSS, which combines HTML with JavaScript. Can you go next? And then I had to do a lot of JavaScript because most of the coding is JavaScript. And this is Angular JavaScript. It's not to be confused with other JavaScript used for other programs. Next. These are a couple examples of HTML. So you have like the body, and then this is all that will be shown, and then JavaScript is used is the logistics of it. So when you press a button, this will happen. Stuff like that. So the skills I developed is something called two-way data binding. My mentor wanted to make sure I put this in there. And what two-way data binding is to go in depth. Any data-related changes affecting the model, which is the design and the physical look of the application, are immediately changed to match the views. And so if you were to change something in the HTML, it would affect the JavaScript. If you change it in the JavaScript, it would affect the HTML. And so that's a huge part in app creation, because you want to be able to make sure that if I was to hit, say, a button, that the HTML or the JavaScript will recognize that and be able to execute the command. Sorry, go back. I got a little ahead of myself. I learned great study skills because all that learning I had to do, I had to crack down and make sure I had time to go through every lesson, and each lesson is not short, it's really long. It was roughly 10 pages long per lesson, so it took me a long time when it came to researching. And staying focused was a huge thing. I procrastinated a lot, and so I kept like saying, oh, I can do it tomorrow, and then I'd never do it tomorrow. So, next. The challenges that I encountered, a lot of them were errors. When you code, if you have one typo or placed in the wrong spot, your entire coding is messed up and you have to go find it. And especially with one thing, I had one typo, and it took me about 2 weeks to find it. So procrastination was a huge one because you just think, oh, I can do it tomorrow, and then you just keep piling on, oh, I can do it later, and then when time catches up, it's like, hey, your project's due, are you done? And then the time was a huge thing, because when I first started my project, I thought, oh, it's some coding, I know I can get it done. When I started it with my mentor, he told me that himself, it takes a year to almost 2 years for him to create an app. So I was a little worried about that. So, you want to hit next? The significance of my app that I was planning on is helping others, because I was trying to fund it on multiple websites for funding for funding projects. One of the things I put was a huge part with people who do sign language and who are mute and can't speak is that they try to communicate with other people and they don't know what they're saying. So it's easier for people who have to do sign language if the people that they're talking to know it. Otherwise, they have to read lips, and reading lips is no easy task. I really wanted to educate the world as well, because sign language is an amazing language, and I just think that everybody should have the chance, if they want to at least know it, to be able to learn it. Next. What would I do differently? Maybe work on things that would have been taken longer for me to do than things that didn't take me as long to do. Some of the things I was able to do really quickly, some it took me longer to do. And creating the lessons, I'm still actually working on creating the lessons because I need 52-ish lessons, and to make sure that all the subject is taught takes a long time. Next. I'm most proud of just the whole fact that I decided to challenge myself with this. I'm really proud that I was able to have a visual look of what my app's going to be, and that I did something really unique. I was talking to friends who did their same project. They may have built a computer or a job shot with someone, but I took the challenge on creating an application. Not many people really do that, so I'm really proud that I decided to challenge myself with that. On to next. Okay, in summary, procrastination does not help. It didn't help me complete this project. It prevented me from completing some parts of the project that I should have had done in the first place. Mobile application coding is not easy. You look at it and you're like, what is this saying? I was looking through some of examples I saw from my mentor, and I had no clue what it was saying right off the start. Even now, I'm a little confused on some of it. It's a really hard programming language to handle, because you have 3 different programming languages all into one. And apps take a lot of time to create. I felt like I could create it in under a year, but I found out I was wrong. I need to set my standards a little lower than I was shooting way too high. I was above the bar a little too much. Next. My future goals. Even though this is the end of my senior project, I am determined to finish this app. I already have people waiting that want to use it, and it's a great challenge for me, and I see it helping people in the future. Continue coding. Even though this was hard, I'm not going to stop coding. Coding, in my opinion, is like Mr. Smith and running. He enjoys it. He really likes it. Me, I don't know if you do. I just assume because you do it every morning. I really enjoy coding. I have taken about 4 coding classes at the school because I just enjoy it so much. So even though this project was hard, it's not going to prevent me from coding. Next.
Is that it?
That might be it. So, you guys have any questions? I thank you for being my panelist because I love you all. It is true.
Cupcakes speak louder than words.
That is true. That is true. I'm sorry.
Do I get to ask questions?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Are you gonna make the app available?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a free app, or is it
So-
something that you're gonna use to fund school?
My whole idea of the app was, I was looking through it and you can't do anything that you earn money off of for your senior project.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, so instead of me earning money from it, I'm gonna create an app because in order to launch an app, it costs $125. $100 for Apple, $25 for Google, which is a weird range. And so the app is gonna be roughly $3. I didn't want 5 because I thought 5 was a little too much and $1 was just a little too little.
Mhm.
So I settled at $3 and I'm gonna take money out of it so I can keep the app going. But then the gross profit from it is gonna go to an organization that is a national organization that helps deaf children and adults in the world.
Is there anything that exists like this now? Have you done research into that?
There's a couple out there, but my whole goal is to make it so it's easier to understand. So little kids like maybe 6-year-old or 5-year-old that can read would be able to start sign language from it. The apps that I've heard about and seen are a little more complicated than that. I'm also going to add some video aspects, so if someone doesn't want to read or they don't really learn from reading, they can follow along with a video tutorial.
Was it ASL, was it American Sign Language?
Yeah, American Sign Language.
Anything else? Okay, Spencer, we're gonna ask you to go outside, we're gonna talk about you.
I also have one
Your
thing
parents
if
will
you,
go out with you.
if you would like, I actually have an example of the coding I did and what it's going to look like, if you want to see that real quick.
I do.
The coding looked like foreign language, so is that the part?
Yeah, here was my thought, when I get those kind of things, I know something's wrong.
So this is the coding,
What did I
Broken.
break? Yeah.
Like, it's not working.
and some of it's small like this one, but others are,
Yeah, it was so weird.
some are a bit longer.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it's
Will
But I
it
mean-
run it all?
and
Will it
then
run
so
partially?
this is what it's going to look like roughly. So you have a little side menu that you can switch
Oh,
between,
that's cool.
between challenges,
Oh, it's really
and
cool.
then so they all work. So I'm gonna get my mouse for. Sorry about that. Just a lot easier to guide it around with my mouse. So this is what the app looks like. And so you can click the side menu and it shows the different difficulties. And you can click on each one, and right now I don't really have anything in there because I have to teach them how to make the lessons, and they'll be displayed in here. And then for the coding wise, it's just a bunch of gibberish to most people. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
And this is what I do for fun.
Right, right.
It is actually really fun.
Yeah.
James taught me a little bit.
Especially when you, did you see?
Just too time
Okay.
consuming.
When you first get into it, it's a little annoying, but once you finish it, it's great.
I didn't sleep for like 2